And we continue at 2:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Texas.
John, it's time for yet another edition of Gavin Newsom Cursing on Podcast. Here's once again Gavin Newsom on former NFL player Isaac Rochelle's podcast.
There's no governor in the United States of America that can claim what I'm about to state. And it's not even a claim, it's just a fact. I've coordinated and collaborated with ICE. I've gotten a lot of grief, a lot of from the left and my legislature.
That's all he does these days is just sit around and curse.
And sit around and do podcasts.
You know, someone needs to tell him that he has a day job. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, a lot of people right now are trying to read the tea leaves and figure out where the economy is going. We know that the AI revolution is on the horizon, and that is expected to produce great dividends. It's supposed to make products cheaper. It's supposed to be particularly good for the state of California, as many of these AI companies are based out of California. It'll bring in high-paying jobs, increase our tax revenue, those sorts of things. And certainly, it'll result in cures for diseases and blind people being able to see again and paraplegics having use of their limbs again. Maybe we'll put a man on Mars. Maybe we'll have more than that on Mars. You never know. But there are good things on the horizon. In the meantime, we're trying to figure out if the real estate market's going to go up or down. Will you be able to buy insurance? And we're always looking for indicators in the economy as to whether or not things are going to be good or things are going to be bad in the immediate future. One of the things that I always look at is, how is Sin City doing? How is Las Vegas doing? If Las Vegas is doing well, that's usually a good sign, because that means people have expendable income, people are willing to get on planes, people are willing to rent cars, people are willing to rent hotel rooms, all the things that you do whenever you go and you travel, particularly to a leisure destination as Las Vegas is. Well, Las Vegas had been doing just fine, but something has happened over the last couple of months where tourism to Las Vegas has just fallen off a cliff.
And Johnny, we're seeing the latest casualty of that. Vegas casinos are laying off card dealers.
Uh-oh. What's next? Laying off the Buffalo on the Buffalo machine?
For more, here is 8 News Now in Las Vegas.
Well, a recent dip in tourism is shaking up the Strip, and it's the casino dealers who are paying the price.
8 News Now reporter Nick Summers sharing how this downturn is affecting the people behind the tables.
If you don't have gamblers, right, you don't need as many dealers, let's say. You don't need as many tables open.
Las Vegas is known for its bright lights, big bets, and nonstop action, but right now things are quieter than usual.
Isn't this supposed to be the popular time right before it gets to be 130 degrees?
Oh, it's headed there.
What is that, roulette?
I think so.
A recent
Come on,
dip in
28.
tourism is sending...
Red 23. I won $600 on that once, and I should have bet more than $15.
A recent dip in tourism is sending shockwaves through the Strip, and casino workers are feeling the hit firsthand.
Fontainebleau announced some layoffs. Resorts World announced some layouts.
Wait, Fontainebleau, they just opened.
Yeah, they're brand new. Everyone's raving about that place, by the way.
Fontainebleau announced some layoffs. Resorts World announced some layouts.
Resorts World is so hard up for tourists that they actually made a huge announcement that parking is going to be free again.
Yeah, Resorts World, I think that's where my pal Suzanne Summers was in residency. And then the guy in charge quit, and the new guy came in and was a bean counter and canceled the show.
We want those casinos to be very active, successful, and robust, because that gives our break-in dealers an opportunity to transition, right? That's the goal.
David Knoll, managing director for SEG Dealer School, started out as a dealer in 1991.
What do you think the classes are like in Intro to Dealing in Vegas?
Well, if they see that you graduated from high school in California, they throw your application in the trash. because to be a blackjack dealer in Las Vegas means you have to be able to count to 21.
David Knoll, managing director for Seg Dealer School, started out as...
But it's like not just learning how to deal the games, learning how to play the games, but how much of the class is like learning how to spot the cheats?
Well, learning how to spot the cheats and having old, disgusting men come on to young women. You have to be able to politely tell them to go to hell.
David Knoll, managing director for Seg Dealer School, started out as a dealer in 1991. He says he's seen a decline in enrollment similar to what the industry saw during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So we've seen our enrollments drop, interest in becoming a dealer. We used to have a lot more people transition from out of state and sort of hear about Vegas, the opportunity that was here.
In Las Vegas, the unemployment rate remains one of the highest in the country. The leisure and hospitality industry, where most of the jobs are, has seen several peaks and valleys over the last year.
What's going on, Vegas?
People aren't going like they used to.
Tourism is the lifeblood of Las Vegas, but lately that lifeline has been thinning. From April to May, visitor numbers dropped nearly 6%, and the effects are rippling through the industry.
We're starting to see things like airline bookings and future hotel bookings starting to drop somewhat.
When those $25 Spirit Airlines flights aren't full, you know you got a problem.
Yeah, don't the casinos subsidize the tickets to Las Vegas? I know they used to.
Both internationally and domestically.
Tourism chief Steve Hill says that could continue as long as tariffs are in place.
That's our bread and butter. We need gamblers. There's shops and food and everything else to do, but we really need those gamblers to come back. And those gamblers,
they need those high rollers from China. That's what they need.
Oh, they're going to Macau now.
React to better values.
Hotel occupancy rates have also declined, we've been reporting, with a drop of 1% overall in April and a larger decrease specifically for the hotels downtown of 2.6%.
There you go. That's what's going on in Vegas right now. Dealers are getting laid off at some major hotels. You're seeing a dip in tourism, and it's not looking good for the outlook in 2025 for Las Vegas.
Okay, I have a theory on what's going on here. Typically, if tourism to Las Vegas is down, that means people are worried about the economy and they're spending their money on essentials or saving their money, anticipating a potential layoff, and they're cutting out all of the leisure. They're cutting out all of the unnecessary spending. And Las Vegas would certainly be on that list. But I don't think that's what's going on here. I think Las Vegas is hurting for a combination of reasons. Most of them are self-inflicted. First of all, Las Vegas got very, very greedy. And they do things that piss people off. And people had to put up with it in the past, but they don't have to put up with it now. For example, the parking fee. You now have to pay to park at all of these hotels on the Strip. Or most of them, unless you can find some workaround, which I, of course, have found. So I personally don't pay it. I did for a while. I don't anymore. If you have status with Royal Caribbean, they will match that status at the Las Vegas hotels that are affiliated with MGM, and you don't have to pay for parking or you don't have to pay the resort fee. But parking and resort fees are outrageous. Are you telling me that I have to pay to park my car to go into your casino to lose money? And then when you rent a room, you have to pay a resort fee. You have to pay for the beauty parlor. You have to pay for the wave pool. You have to pay for the lazy river. And you say, well, what if I don't use the wave pool? What if I don't use the lazy river? What if I don't use the beauty parlor? Can I get my resort fee waived? Oh, no, you have to pay it. Well, if it's not optional, if it's mandatory, then it's not a resort fee. Then what it is part of the cost of the room. But they want to split it up because they want to advertise a lower rate, and they want to stick that on your bill and hope that you don't pay attention to it. But they jack the cost of the room up dramatically by doing that. And then when you factor in parking, Those are two significant hits that you get every single night on your room in Las Vegas. Las Vegas used to be fun because it was a cheap vacation. Most of what was in those hotels was designed to lose money. The coffee shop was supposed to lose money. The showroom was supposed to lose money. The hotel was supposed to lose money. All of those things were there to get you in the door to gamble. And the casino, which basically has a fixed winning percentage over the life of the game, and they know how much revenue they're going to bring in, that's where they made their bread and butter. But at a certain point, they just got greedy. And they said, instead of having all of these loss leaders, when they used to do things like the 99-cent 1-pound hot dog or the 99-cent shrimp cocktail or $7.99 steak and eggs, $7.99 prime rib dinner, comping everyone to go to the show so you can see an Elvis impersonator who's about 55 pounds overweight. We've all done it a million times. That part of Las Vegas is gone and doesn't exist anymore. For whatever reason, they decided that they wanted to be a hip and cool destination. And they want to have in celebrity chefs. And they want A-listers doing residency shows at all of the resorts. And they want all of them to have cirque shows. And they want all of them to be these highly desirable places. And they want the showroom to make a profit. And they want the restaurants to make a profit. And they want the hotel to make a profit. Everyone is its own individual spreadsheet that is designed to make money. Well, if that's what you're doing, then it's no longer an economical vacation. It's no longer we'll save money on the hotel, we'll save money on the food, we'll save money on the shows, and we'll just go hog wild in the casino. And the casino is essentially part of your entertainment budget. That's not how it is now. They hose you 15 ways from Sunday. Or as Eric Garcetti would say, you'll receive things on both ends.
Oh, he does love to say that, doesn't he?
I receive things on both ends.
In addition to all of that, I will say this. There are two other things that irritate me about Las Vegas right now. They put an arena and they put a sports stadium right in the middle of the strip. Where the arena is, the sports stadium is across the freeway. But the parking is on the strip, which means if you have to park your car and there's an event going on at one of those venues, the parking lot, which used to be fine at any of those resorts on the south side of the strip, it looks like Costco on a Saturday. Good luck finding a spot. Well, after you just drove for 4.5 hours from California to Las Vegas, the last thing you want to do once you get to the hotel is spend 45 minutes looking for a parking space that you're now paying for. People don't want to do that. The other thing is, we now live in a world where you have to pick a brand and stay there. If you fly American Airlines, every ticket that you buy needs to be on American Airlines so you can move up in status and you can collect miles and get all the perks associated with being a loyal customer to one company. The same is true with cruise lines. The same is true with hotels. Well, most of those hotels, with the exception of Resorts World, which I think has an affiliation with Hilton, they don't have affiliations with any of the big hotel chains. So you're not going to get your Hilton Honors points. You're not going to get your Marriott Rewards points. You're not going to get your Hyatt points if you go to Las Vegas. That's unaffiliated to the hotel that you do your business with. The other thing that I think is killing them is something that Randy alluded to. The Chinese aren't going there anymore. Why aren't the Chinese going to Las Vegas? Well, there are now a number of gaming options in Asia where they can go hog wild at home without having to get on a plane and go to the other side of the globe. And it's not just the Chinese. Because of Indian gaming in California, if you want to play blackjack or you want to play the Buffalo machine or you want to do any of those things, then you can do it right here in California where you don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to sit in the car for 4 or 5 hours and hope to God that there's not an accident on the 15. You can do it right here, free parking, and they'll take care of you because they all have their own rewards programs too. So you get locked into those programs, and you don't want to go to Las Vegas because those points aren't usable for the casino that you go to most often. So that's a huge problem. In addition to that, you have many states, California not being one of them, although we're going to be voting on it again, I think, in 2026. But many states out there have it so that you can legally bet on sports on your phone. The Indian casinos don't accept sports bets, but Las Vegas hotels do. So they have a monopoly on that. If you want to bet on sports in California, you have to go to Nevada to do it, legally at least. And so a lot of people go there for that. But in other states, you can bet on sports on your phone. And in 2 years, my guess is you'll be able to do it in California too. Gaming is up. People are gambling more than ever. You have more opportunities to gamble than you ever did. It used to be just the state lottery, but now it's the Indian casinos. Soon it'll be your phone. There's gambling going on all around you. Las Vegas used to have a monopoly, and they're losing their monopoly right now, and it's starting to hurt them in the pocketbook. I love Las Vegas, and I go to Las Vegas all the time, but I don't go as often as I used to for all of those reasons and more. So I'm curious right now, because we're speaking to an audience that goes to Las Vegas, it goes to Laughlin, it goes to Reno, it goes to Elko, all of those gaming cities in Nevada, in Northern California, Central California, Southern California. We are their biggest audience. So I want to know, speaking to you, the customers and former customers of the Las Vegas casinos, why did you stop going to Nevada to gamble? According to the numbers, fewer people are going than used to go, and that includes a lot of people from California who are opting out. I'll add one more reason to the list as to why people are not going to Las Vegas to gamble anymore. We used to have a limited number of cruise ships in California. Now, I think Royal Caribbean has 3, Disney has some, Carnival has some, I think Princess has some. The big cruise lines now have a presence in California. You go on one of those cruise ships and you go into a cruise ship casino, those casinos are packed wall to wall with people who are gambling the whole time. The cruise ships are taking a huge chunk out of what Las Vegas used to own. So the question is, why did you stop going to Las Vegas? They're laying off blackjack dealers. Their numbers are down. Fewer Californians are going. Why did you stop gaming in Nevada? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Your calls coming up right here on The John Phillips Show. It's The John Phillips Show. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, doing a Googleable on the YouTube. Subscribe, like, share with your friends, download all the episodes, and you can take these wherever you go. You could be listening to the podcast of the show in your earbuds while you're sitting at a casino on a cruise ship doing what?
Make that money!
Tourism to Las Vegas is down. Why did you stop gaming in Nevada? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Your calls coming up right here on The John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Tourism to Las Vegas has fallen off a cliff. A lot of Californians in particular have stopped going. Why do you no longer game in Nevada? Let's go to the phones and begin with Richard in Fullerton. Richard, hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Okay, this is a timely topic. Just an hour ago, I booked a room at the Venetian in Las Vegas. And with a veteran's discount, my room was $122, which was great. And then the reservation person said, let's see, your total will be $248 with tax and resort fee. So they doubled what the room cost in no time at all.
Yes, and also once you get there, you're going to have to pay for parking too.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun. This is the first time I've been to Las Vegas in 3 years, and now I know why.
Yeah, I don't see how they exist in the long term as they are now if they continue to charge these prices. There's a restaurant that I used to go to all the time, and I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want to hammer them on the radio, but it was a fun restaurant that had basically mediocre food. It had mediocre food. I call it high-end cafeteria food. And they had a fun bar, and it was just a happening place where everyone would go, and they'd have an all-day happy hour, and you'd have cheap drinks and cheap food, and it was just a fun place to bring people who were here visiting from out of town. It's a fun place to go and just have an inexpensive meal that's in a fun spot. And then the owner died, and the husband took over, and I think he's an accountant by trade. And he decided that they were going to shrink the glasses, the martini glasses. They were going to get rid of the happy hour. They were going to start charging more for the food. And everything I liked about that place was gone. It's not high-end food. They have no business charging high-end food prices for food that's basically mediocre. But they did that, and then people just stopped going. And I have a feeling that Las Vegas is playing that same game. Part of the appeal of Las Vegas was that it was an inexpensive place for lodging and for food and for entertainment, and you spent all your money on gambling, and now that's just not true anymore.
No, they are all worried about the bottom end now. They know that there's a lot of competition out there, and rather than respond to that in a positive way, they've just hit us harder and made us dig deeper.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Mark in Vacaville. Mark, hello.
Hey, John. Thanks for taking my call. As soon as you started this conversation, I knew exactly where we were going. And on that note, my wife and I have not gone for a number of years because of that very reason. These resort fees are a ripoff. The hotels have gotten cocky. We used to go to the Mirage when it was $89 on a Saturday, but those days are long gone. So we will not be going back until things change. We went to one hotel a few years ago. They were charging a mandatory tip out by the pool on top of the tip that I was already giving the gals. I didn't even know this was happening. But I went in just after before I left, and I said, I want this taken off my bill, and they removed it. But they said, well, all the other hotels are doing it too. But, my dad always used to say, I don't mind paying for something, but I don't like being ripped off. And that's the way we feel about what's happening in Vegas.
Well, here's what I don't understand. If you have something that's an upcharge, you're getting a hamburger, and you want the bacon. Well, bacon's going to cost you this amount of money in addition to the cost of the hamburger. And avocado is going to cost you this much, and cheese is going to cost you that much. They tell you what it is, but you're getting something tangible for it. You're getting an add-on to your burger. If you get a hotel room in Las Vegas, it's not like you can say, well, I don't want the bacon, or I don't want the avocado, or I don't want the cheese, so waive that resort fee. The resort fee is mandatory. Well, if it's mandatory, then it's not an additional fee. It's not an upcharge. It's not an add-on. It's part of the cost of the room. Well, they should be forced to add that to the advertised price of the room so you can decide whether or not it's a value or not.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you on this. We've always felt, my wife and I always felt the same way on this. Be upfront with everything, but until they start to change and bring things down, we will not be going anytime soon. And we can afford to go to these places even now, but we don't want to pay those kind of prices for something like that. And when resort fees started coming in, it just ruined everything. Like you said earlier, Vegas used to be a fun place to go to, not anymore.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to D in the Valley. D, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Just wanted to chime in. I think you're 100% correct about all the add-ons and the cost. I'm a person that I came from the East Coast, New York City, one of the most expensive cities, right? I moved to Southern California. Now I'm in Silicon Valley. So I've been in very expensive areas. And it used to be you'd go to Las Vegas because you would get more bang for the buck in terms of going out to eat or going to the fancy restaurants. No more. Now they charge New York City prices and, Southern California prices, and you don't really get the same quality, I don't feel like. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was if you go out at night and you walk around the Strip or you want to go out to a club or a bar, the people are way more trashy. Everybody's smoking weed everywhere, and just the vibe is very different. It reminds me of like 42nd Street back in the 80s in New York before they cleaned it up. It's just not what it used to be.
Oh, you should have seen Las Vegas right after they reopened after COVID. In my hotel, the cops were called to my floor on 3 different occasions during my stay there.
I believe it. And it's really weird because I've been there since COVID, and it's like Fort Knox. They don't even let you in. They don't even let you bring people up to your room. You have to show them your key in a lot of these hotels. So I'm like, how do these people get in? Like, I don't understand how. And then if you go to the pool, you want to take advantage of the resort fee, right? Everything's a la carte. You got to pay extra for everything. So what was the fee for? I don't understand that.
Have you been to Reno since the COVID shutdowns?
I have. And Reno is a little bit different vibe, but you still get a lot of, I feel like when I was out there, a little bit of that homeless element that just kind of hangs out at night. But you expect that at Reno. You don't really expect a lot of that type of vibe and element in Vegas.
When I was there, it was straight up depressing because you're downtown and some of those casinos, I forget which ones, but some of those casinos shut down and they're just empty. It's like going to the mall over at Union Square in San Francisco where you see areas that used to be filled with department stores that are empty, but they're still there. And that's what downtown Reno was like.
Yep, I hear you, and I agree with that. But to me, even when I went there years ago, it always felt like kind of like a step under, a little bit lower class, but more, I don't know, I want to say homely. It kind of felt more like for the locals and things like that, where Vegas always felt more upper class. It almost reminds me now of Atlantic City. I don't know if you're aware of that, if you've gone there, but it used to be Atlantic City was more upscale, when Trump had his Taj Mahal and everything. People would go there from New York, and it's kind of become way more trashy now. But, yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Laughlin is kind of like that, too, where some of those properties are empty. And I've always thought, because Laughlin has the Colorado River, so you take the water taxi from hotel to hotel, and everyone's dressed totally inappropriately with foul language on their shirts. I've always thought that they should do a Real Housewives franchise in Laughlin, except instead of throwing Chardonnay in each other's faces, the women should be throwing White Claw at each other.
With the cans, too.
Yes, with the cans, just right between the eyes. Like a quarterback throwing a football. Thank you for the call, sir.
I can see that.
Thank you for the call. Let's go to Dave in Long Beach. Dave, hello.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the call. Hey, I used to been going to Vegas since I was in my early 20s. Used to go out there and get comp rooms. Now we used to go 3, 4, 5 times a year. Now I go maybe once or twice. Some of the other callers said the same thing. The resort fees, you go to the pool at the Flamingo and you want to get a bucket of beers, it's $70. You want to get a day bed, that's another $200. I mean, everything's gotten expensive. Even on the Strip, it's $15 to $25 minimums. It's just trash. It's not the same.
Well, and the shows are expensive too. Back in the old days, the shows used to be cheap. You used to be able to sit in the front row and watch Don Rickles insult every race on planet Earth, and it would cost you $2. Now, you want to go to one of those Cirque shows where they're shooting Russians out of cannons. That's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Even 10 years ago, we used to stay at the Encore, and I think we went there for a Friday, Saturday night. I think for everything all in, it was like $300, which is, $150 a night, but it's the buffets are $100 a piece now. And then they wonder why it's empty. I think the corporatization, once the MGM and then I don't know what the other one is, I get a Players Club with with the MGM at Mandalay Bay. They just don't comp like they used to.
I read somewhere that they were shutting the buffets down too at many of the hotels.
It's still $100 at the. I think the best buffet I used to go to was at Caesar's Palace. I think it's $89.99.
Yeah, that's insane for a buffet. Thank you for the call.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Let's go to Dave in Calabasas. Dave, hello.
Yeah, John, I believe that the main drop-off is due to all the reasons that you and your callers just discussed regarding no more value. But I'd like to mention that there's been a noticeable shift in the blackjack payout odds in the casinos. You might be aware of this. It used to be a 3-2 payout. It's changed to 6-5 payout. And the bottom line is that significantly increases the house's edge, and it basically means it's almost impossible for the player to make any money playing blackjack. So now what's the point? Get ripped off, and then you don't get a fair shot at the tables.
Well, and they also play around with the rules because at blackjack, you're not going to make any money unless you can get as much money on the table as possible. And sometimes there's certain rules about splitting aces or how many times you can split a hand or double down or whatever. And if you don't have the opportunity to put as much money on the table as possible when you have an opportunity to really run the table, then there's no point in even playing.
Exactly. Whop, 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 whop.
Thank you for the call, sir. Didn't see that one coming.
I'm going to save that.
Let's go to Pete in Santa Cruz. Pete, hello.
I was going to say basically all the – hey, thanks. I was going to say basically all the things that those guys said. But I was there last week. I walked by the roulette table and I put a 20 on red, and they went, the minimum is 50. And I'm like, whoa, 50. The other thing is that if you go to the bathroom and here's a guy standing there with a paper towel and he wants to try to give you a paper towel and get a tip. Everybody wants a tip. So that was the other thing that turned me off.
Yeah, I hate when they do that. A $50 minimum, you can't charge me like it's Ocean's 11 if you've got Carrot Top playing in the lounge.
I couldn't believe it. But, it's unbelievable also just everything it's the expense. Everything was so expensive everywhere. I went to 2 shows, and that was expensive, and everything just was expensive, just like 10 times what it was just a few years ago. So I think it's the expense thing is the bottom line. But
All
anyway,
right.
thanks. You guys got a great show. Thanks for everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the call. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Tourism to Las Vegas is down. Why did you stop gaming in Nevada? More of your calls coming up right here on The John Phillips Show. It's The John Phillips Show. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
White Jerome writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Why is Las Vegas losing? It's the curse of the Oakland Raiders. It follows them everywhere.
And soon they'll have the A's too.
Oh, boy.
Let's go to Dan in L.A. Dan, hello.
First of all, a hot Randy is something you used to be able to get down in the old Las Vegas, if you remember correctly. Anyways, I used to go there all the time. I loved how the prices were. It was just fantastic. I used to go to the Tropicana. I used to go to the Aladdin. I would go to several places that were so cheap and fun, and bachelor parties. Originally, I'm from the East Coast, so I'd meet my buddies over there. I'd drive down from LA, and good gosh, I kind of miss the old days. In fact, we stayed at the Start. Do you remember the Stardust?
Oh yeah, Wayne Newton was in residency there.
So my buddies and I got for the same price. We were organizing a bachelor party, and for they had 6 or 7 rooms at the Hard Rock. Hard Rock was fairly new at the time, and I for the same price I got like a suite on the top floor of Stardust. It's probably Frank Sinatra's DNA up there. It was like fantastic. And it's kind of discouraging now, knowing that you just can't have those old times like you used to in Vegas. I took advantage of every single pool in that district.
Well, thank you for the call, and thank you for the visual of Frank Sinatra's DNA. And by that, Randy, let's hope he was referencing a napkin that was left.
Hope so.
All right, let's go to John in the desert. John, hello.
All right. I just made it to, I think, Glenwood. I'm actually going to Vegas, but I don't really like it. I go out here for a music festival in April, Rockabilly. It's off the Strip. I don't go anywhere near the Strip. I'm so sick of the how you can get comped, the resort fees, of course, and then you get nickel and dime for everything. Back in the 80s, I wasn't even 21 when we'd gamble. We had a fake ID, and we'd just ask them, hey, we've been gambling a while. We're a little hungry. Can we get a comp for the restaurant over there? And they'd say, sure, write it down. Now it's all about that points, checking the card. And, of course, it's always under what you're actually gambling. And I'll tell you something. The Laughlin, why don't they advertise that they could be the old Vegas?
You're right. They should, because Laughlin is cheaper than Las Vegas. It's a lot easier to get to than Las Vegas. And it does kind of remind me of old Las Vegas in certain respects. Thank you for the call, sir.